Welcome to our latest community update here on Tuesday the 31st of March. I don't need to tell you how complex and challenging this time has been. You've been living it as well, and your children have been living it. I do want to thank you as I begin for all the support and encouragement that we've received, for the tremendous contribution that you have been making at home to ensure that the learning process of your children is being intact. As each day passes, we're getting further information about restrictions on movement, on gatherings, on interaction between us. It seems almost that government and health officials are advising us that life as we know it has largely been put in, I think the term that they're using is hibernation. Even the phrase that two's company and three's a crowd, which was once said facetiously, is almost now true for how we're supposed to operate our lives. In the context of this, the school has tried to continue. The online program is going well. There's always more to do and improvements to be made. We're well pleased with the effort that has been made. I'm deeply grateful to students and to staff and to parents for all that has been accomplished. But we feel that it's time to stop living reactively and to change our way of thinking about the rest of this year. We feel the time is right for us to end the sense of doubt and uncertainty that seems to cloud every day and wear out our spirit, and replace that with a sense of not enduring, but of thriving. And to do that, you'll receive some information a little bit later today that will share with you a 2020 reimagined. In the old days that many of us went to school in, there was such a thing as a 3-term year. In those 3 terms, there was a half-term break to allow us to get through an extended period, to allow students to actually refresh themselves and re-engage again in the second half of every term. Wouldn't it be a good idea to take some of the time that was allocated in our current timetable and our current schedule and move it into this phase so that we can not simply just survive these days, but actually provide ourselves with an opportunity to deepen our learning and make the academic program even more successful. Online is good, it helps us to get through a time, but we all look forward to being back together again. Therefore, we're starting to plan for that day. We're starting to plan for a time when we can enrich our academic program in face-to-face learning experiences as we have long cherished them to be. So far as we can tell, much of April is going to be disrupted by the coronavirus and its impact on the community in general. It could well last longer than that. Some of the predictions are well into May. To that end, we've decided to reorganise the academic year. We have essentially decided to commence teaching in whatever fashion we're allowed, whether it's online or hopefully face-to-face, from the 11th of May. And then teach in 2 lengthy terms between then and the end of the year. In that way, we recover so much of the teaching time that's been lost so far this year. Many of the external strictures that define what we can do with each term have been removed. NAPLAN has gone. The NISA has allowed us to reorganise the internal assessment program for our Year 12s. Many of the external fixtures that we cherish through the autumn and winter period have also been set aside. The school year is so different. Let's take that and make that an advantage. Let's take this difference and perhaps, instead of simply surviving it, perhaps we could think of it in a different way and thrive on it. Now, to do that, what we're going to do is have a longer Easter break. We will return from Easter on the 11th of May. Now, some might say that's quite a long time for students to have downtime at the present time, particularly given the disruption in their learning. We agree with that. And so what we're going to do, as you will see in the communication that will be issued today, is establish a personal interest project for Year 3 to Year 10 students. More details of this will be provided, but essentially each student will be invited to take up a challenge of researching a particular topic around the general theme that the school will announce. At the end of this current difficulty, at the end of this current shutdown period, the school will hold an exhibition of student work. In my mind's eye, I see the school festooned with the work of our students from Year 3 to Year 10, where they create their own personal response to a set of intellectual challenges. It's classic inquiry learning, guided by some mentors who we will introduce to you as part of this initiative. Our senior students, of course, have a demanding academic schedule, Year 11 and Year 12. Those families will be communicated to separately about exactly what the senior school will look like under this new model. Our pre-kindergarten to Year 2 children will also receive separate communication about how do we advance their learning in this system. The advantages are self-evident. To begin with, we believe that the current situation has been extremely stressful for students, for staff, and for parents. We want to smooth out some of those stresses. We want to give security to our staff, that they know exactly what the rest of this year holds. We want to allow us to enhance the academic program and not simply to survive it, or to survive it with a pale imitation of normality. Things are not normal. It's probably wise for us to reinvent this year instead of imagining that we can actually recover it. And then finally, it will help us to smooth out some of the financial pressures that our families are currently facing. Again, you'll receive a separate communication in that matter. We've also noticed that one of the things that is impacting our community, it was a sense of uncertainty, that each day brought fresh wave of bad news, cancellation of this event, restrictions further that limited the things that we enjoy about being together. And in that uncertainty comes doubt. And with that doubt comes despair and panic and sometimes even a loss of hope. Our sense of things is to create a new pattern that will articulate and redefine what the rest of this year looks like. So restore some level of confidence. We can now plan what lies ahead. It will be different, but of course it's different already. It will be challenging, but of course it's challenging right now. It will be some way perhaps exhausting, but truth to tell, it's pretty tiring for everybody at the moment. We don't simply want to survive 2020, nor should we ever let somebody say that this is a wasted year, we're going to lose a whole year. Not at all. We think actually out of this model can come some thriving, a new way of looking at learning, a new opportunity for students to express their own creativity, to celebrate their own minds and their response to some big questions, and then provide it as a kind of exciting reopening of the school, as a major exhibition of learning right across the school. Of course, it's not as good as it might be if we were still all together. Nobody wanted these days to occur, but what is in front of us is real. There are serious matters that are facing all of us and our families. Our sense is to take these serious matters and turn them into strengths, not simply into endurance. The idea of Barker is not so much that we are an address or a website or even a volume of history. We are a collection of people. We're an idea, and that idea is bound up in this core concept of hope. And from this plan, we hope to ignite a deeper sense of hope. Probably you'll have a lot of questions about what do these details mean for you and for your family. What happens in the event of a half-term break? How do we get through a much longer period? What will happen for Year 12s? How will the end of the year look compared to previous years? All of those are fair and reasonable questions. And we have some answers to some of those, and some of those will be developed over time. The big idea, however, represents a way of taking the current challenge, creating a response to that challenge that serves the needs of our students and our community in this generation at this time. Thank you for your continued encouragement and support. It's not taken for granted. It's deeply appreciated. May the Lord bless you and keep you as we move towards this Easter season, and let's thrive in the year that lies ahead.